Hi everyone, this is Liz Brassaw, Chief Flight Instructor at Thrust Flight and First Officer at a regional airline. Today we're going to talk about 3 things to never do in a simulator. Right off the bat, I want to make clear I'm talking about your typical flight school simulator. Maybe you have a Redbird or a Frasca, not a airline level simulator that's got way more functionality than typically your fixed position flight school one. So 3 things never to do in a flight simulator. The first one is to treat it like a simulator. I see so many students that come in and they treat the sim like a sim. They don't do any of their regular checklists or any of the regular procedures like they do in the aircraft. They have a very casual attitude towards the training we're doing that day. And so we don't get the full translation as we move into the airplane of what we were trying to improve or work on in the simulator. If you treat it like an airplane, you're gonna have a lot more of that learning transfer over into the actual aircraft, which was the whole goal, right? To either learn a new skill or to save some time and money as you're learning something and then moving it into the aircraft instead of learning it for the first time in the aircraft. The other thing is you're not gonna build bad habits. I have had students who, like I said, treat it like a simulator, and when they come in, we skip a lot of things, or like I said, we have maybe a casual attitude towards it. They'll give up on a procedure and say, can you just reposition us, restart the simulation? And then in the airplane, we find we've got some bad habits. Maybe we always forget a certain checklist item because we didn't do it in the simulator. Or perhaps, some of those other things that could have been practiced in the sim but didn't need to be because it's a sim. Now we're forgetting to do them in the aircraft where it does really count. So treat it like an airplane. Come with a serious attitude towards the training and try and make the procedures match as close as possible to what you'd actually do in the aircraft. You'll be much better for it and get the full usage out of that simulator. The next thing to never do in the simulator is drill landings. Can you practice your traffic patterns? Absolutely. The procedures, the configuration changes. Can you practice crosswind corrections as you're coming in a traffic pattern or coming in on final approach for landing? Yes. But what a simulator, at least at the flight school level, does not do really well is teach you how to feel a landing. And that's what's required to actually progress in your skill of learning to land an airplane, is you have to feel it. There's so much that I can teach you about a landing, but there's this piece that you have to be able to sense and feel as we're coming in and actually flaring as you get close to the ground and then touching down and landing. And like I said, a simulator, the technology is wonderful. We just haven't been able to really create a good, realistic simulation of that last piece. I've had students in the simulators that I've taught in totally not flare. We come in nose first and the aircraft still lands. It looks like it was a successful outcome. We can't do that in the airplane. So there's a lot I can teach my student about landings as we're progressing, but I don't want to spend 30, 45 minutes drilling the actual touchdown, flare, and landing in the simulator. It's just not going to be beneficial use of your time. There's a lot better things you could be practicing in that simulator, and that skill would be better learned in an actual aircraft where you can get the full sensation and feel of what's happening to the aircraft in that moment in time. The third thing to never do in a simulator is waste the time. Flight training is expensive. It's no secret. And the most expensive part of that training occurs in the actual aircraft. What a simulator allows you to do is reduce the time needed in the actual plane for a much more reasonable cost. Do they still cost money? Yes, but less than an airplane. I've never met a simulator that rents for as much as the airplane does at my flight school or the flight schools I've trained at or taught at. So it can save you a lot of time, a lot of money if you make use of the time. So don't waste it there. There's certain schools that will require a certain number of simulator hours. There's so much you can be doing in there. Even if you've met the target items you needed to for your stage of training, you've succeeded in the skills or tasks needed before the next stage check or progress check. Maybe we could practice some emergency situations that are in Chapter 3 of your POH that you have never done in the actual airplane. There's so much you can do to make use of that time to make yourself a more well-rounded pilot and more proficient, more safe. So those are the 3 things never to do in a simulator. I hope that helps as you set out on your own simulator training, or maybe consider renting the one at your local flight school. If you're interested in incorporating some simulator training into your training or increasing it, we'd love to have you here at Thrust Flight. There's a link below with more information, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.